Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kitchen Speakers podcast. We have a very special guest today, Chef 2. How you doing, Chef?
What's up, everybody? Super glad to be here. Good vibes and good conversation.
Yeah, man. So I was looking over your website and, I need to sit down and finish the film Bloodline. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Absolutely, man. I think I've been on this pop-up journey ever since like 2015. And I think at pop-ups, I was cooking Vietnamese food that I guess the masses didn't know about. And given this time, people were just scratching on Anthony Bourdain and all that stuff. But to make things more complex, I'm Vietnamese American. I stand 6'2". I weigh in like at 230. I'm a big dude. I'm not like a small Vietnamese dude. My family, we're from an island, bro. So a lot of the ways that we eat is completely different. That's like comparing somebody from Hawaii to somebody from Atlanta. And then in the mix of that, generalizing them to be the same people just because they're from America. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, Vietnam got islands. I'm one of them. My family's one of them. They're both free divers. Everyone's tall and big and thick. We're kind of like islander-like. And the food that we eat there is completely different from the mainland. So when I was cooking that food during my pop-ups, people were like, I've traveled to Vietnam, I've traveled to Vietnam. I've never had your food before. I was like, but have you traveled everywhere to Vietnam? So that's why I started doing like these pop-ups, and then I had to start storytelling so people can know what they're eating, opposed to me just being a chef pulling shit out of my ass. I was doing like matriarch mother inspired recipes, and one thing led to another. I was fortunate to get into the creative space. I think powwow pretty well, right? And sort of the arts creative space, which led me to SF Design Week. I met up with my business partner, food media business partner, and then we connected together just as creatives. And we're like, yo, man, I love your story about your family and your mom, very unique angle about it. Let's tell a story about it. And interestingly enough, during that same time, he had just lost his father. So him and I was just wrapped up about family and how food brings people together. And he's South Asian, Indian specifically. And even though we were like of two worlds, we were connecting over like family recipes and things we like to taste and all that stuff. So, we got a crew together, did like a 15-minute film, invited everyone back to my mom's house. She cooked, told a story, blah, 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 whoop, whoop, right? And then at the end of it, we turned it into a film festival, Camp Fest, which is Center of Asian American Media, I think by 2019, 2018. And then from there were people from KQED and PBS who wanted to like turn it into an episode. So super nonlinear, super unintentional. It's just an effort from myself and my friends and our crew to kind of tell stories that people don't hear about. Because usually, I'm sure you know about this, Mikkel, is that, usually when there's food stories on YouTube and other places, it's always about one narrative around authenticity. There's one narrative about, somebody running through their grandmother's garden, fucking Calvin Klein styles type of shit. And it wasn't like that for me. For me, I grew up in Oakland, man. Like, we told the story about not having food through refugee and our parents being innovative by being poor and, trying to feed the family. So that's sort of like the real sort of space that I came from, and I've been through the fine dining, and I even did like fucking in my career, I've done like deli service and like fast food. I think we all have, for most of us in the food industry. And the more I learned about myself, the more I kind of veered away from fine dining, because fine dining, real talk, where I come from, my friends, my family, my mom, my dad, we couldn't afford to go there and eat, and I wanted to cook for my people, like for my community, for the people I grew up with, so that is all encumbersome of the film Bloodline. By the way, check out the link in my bio at chef2.com. Follow me on social media. The link is there as well too. Everyone can watch it for free. It's on YouTube, and it's airing nationally right now on different PBS schedules. So I would check with your local station. That's if you want to watch it on TV. I don't think anybody watches it on TV anymore.
Yeah, that's super dope, man. Yeah, I on demand most of the programs I watch. I'm about 10 minutes in, and it's fire, man. And it really
Right.
the who directed it, like the story is being told, very well. I know you mentioned who you started it with, but is that are you directing it? Like who's like
So, so I'm a co-executive producer, and then the other co-executive producer, Santos Daniel, he helped put the script together.
uh,
And then we got another homie named James Chan, and he is a film producer that does a lot of independent Asian American docs that have won local Emmys. And he's worked on a few projects with Disney. So just super talented to have homies, get into the project and help out. And I feel like it's a lot like the chef space, like, you not whether you're creative or a chef, if you're trying to do something for fun, you all share your resources and then you make it happen. And I think not I think, but we know for a fact that we didn't expect this sort of success to be able to get it on a network and all that stuff. So like, it's been a real blessing in disguise. So, and it's all like unintentional. We were just doing stuff for fun, like real underground vibes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Unsponsored. That shit was unsponsored. Like usually a lot of content is sponsored.
Yeah. That's dope, man. Yeah, that's sometimes the best content is really unsponsored content, because then you can be 100% natural and organic and tell a true story without sponsored stuff being shoved down your throat.
Except for Rolls Royce, Porsche, and Ferrari. If y'all want to sponsor Mikkel and myself,
yes.
That sponsorship is great.
I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I appreciate all sponsors and everything, but I think from an organic level, and I think even some sponsors appreciate this, that and especially how chefs view things. We don't like things really shoved down our throat. We want to know the source and appreciate the people behind it and stuff like that, right? So I think
absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro.
Yeah,
absolutely, bro.
So like with sponsors, I think that's the best approach, is for them to learn their audience as us as chefs or anyone else who's going to be watching it, and kind of come alongside that organic approach, right? So, you happen to pull up in a Rolls Royce and because just to let it, happen organically, and hop out, and it's going to speak for itself. So yes, hit us up and we'll make that happen. Word, man.
I think you're absolutely right, bro. Because I don't think we were able to tell that type of story, because I don't think people were looking for that type. Brands weren't looking for that type of story. Specifically, Bloodline, about being poor from Oakland, all this. I don't think that was sponsorable content. But I think coming into 2020, the pandemic, Black Lives Matter, and AAPI and BPOC and all that stuff, where these marginalized communities are feeling the heat more than ever. I think brands are starting to pivot. So like I said, it's crazy that that's the hot topic now. But like I said, it took 3 years for us to film this. We did this back in like 2017, 2018, and we finally had got it aired onto PBS, was it February of 2021? So just a few months ago. So there's just no way we had any foresight that all of this stuff is happening and that it would be celebrated in the way that it's being celebrated now. So, a lot of gratitude. That's the word I'm looking for. A lot of gratitude, bro.
Yeah. Being from Oakland and the current state of, what's going on, I think it's, just more amplified because of social media. It's been going on since the Constitution was written, and, but before absolutely. That, but But tell me, what's the post like where you're at?
I think for me, bro, I've had um, personal recent experience within my network and family and friends where, he's a 18, 19-year-old kid in New York and he was harassed, for being Asian. And even though the sentiment is heightened right now, it's hard for me to compare how it was for me being an Asian kid, experienced Asian hate when I was like a kid in the 90s. I just think it's a little bit more sketchy now, mainly because of social media. When it gives exposure to it, it gives more support through copycats. You see what I'm saying? They come out the woodworks and they really act out. So that's my concern. I'm married now. I'm always concerned for my wife. So the way it's affected me is that I really got to be careful on how I navigate and how I explore the world, whether it's my community or another community that I go into. And that gives me a feeling of uneasiness. However, has that ever, did I ever, experience, um, being comfortable in this community or other communities? I haven't. I think I wander and explore the world as a colored man. And I'm sure for yourself too, you know what I mean? So I think there's certain things that at least I was taught in my community and by my family and my mentors and people in my life that I have to navigate a certain way to make sure that I'm safe. But I don't think everyone else has that knowledge. So I try to speak pretty openly about it. And I'm not saying that you need a code switch or act more white or anything like that. I think it's just one of the things now that it's like you shouldn't go anywhere by yourself, late at night in a community that's not yours. And I'm sad that in Oakland, the communities, even though they're all separate, they're super close to each other. So you gotta like navigate through other people's neighborhoods regardless. I think I'm more fearful for not myself, but I think for the young ones in my community, whether they're Black, Latino, Asian, and same thing for our elders, Black, Latino, Asian, becoming targets of crime. I think it's not just I don't think it's just a wave of crime that people decide to start to do, but I think it's there's a lot of people out there suffering, so they're turning into criminals, if not they're they are what's the word for it? They're desperate, and I think that translates into all these crazy crimes. So, I'm not into blaming one group of people or another. I think that the issue that needs to be resolved is way bigger than that, and I think it's systematic. When you have people suffer, we're all crabs in a pot. People are going to be pulling each other back down. So.
Yeah, well said, man. Yeah.
Thanks for.
Yeah.
People are suffering. People are suffering. That's what we're seeing.
I mean, yeah, it's systemic. So it's also psychological. Like it's really deeply embedded, into the way the system has excluded and treated generations. So
absolutely,
mm-hmm.
Absolutely, nothing less, bro. And I'm glad people are starting to see it now, but there's a lot of people who refuse to see that. But I think at the end of the day, you and myself, we're chefs. We just live and speak our truths, and and we hope for the best. So.
Word. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I've been eyeing that hat. Life ruined my graph. Is that graffiti? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what's the graph?
Yes. So
explain that to me, because you think I would get it, but it didn't. It's not popping at me, man.
We got engaged in 2020 of February, and then we took this trip to Europe. And there was like this graffiti powwow sort of vibe store. For those you don't know, powwow, it's like celebrating graffiti art that started in Hawaii, but happens all over the world, including the United States. And Europe has taken this festival, this graffiti art culture by storm. So we went to like this graffiti store that we found in Barcelona, and it was like good vibes. I felt like I was in like California, the way they had the store laid out and the culture and the kids there. So hip hop was vibing up in Barcelona, and I saw this hat. I picked it up. So it's just good vibes.
Yeah. I like that. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
That's,
you.
that's a
Thank
big
you.
step, man. It is. So like, we're going on 4 years myself. And
Congratulations, bro.
thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Being 38, it was kind of late to the game, if you will. So, but it's like it's a whole nother chapter, right? It's a whole nother approach, that marriage, man. So and then I married into 2, and then and then we had another. So like I was immediately like, all right, I'm a dad now, So a lot of growing up real quick for myself.
Yeah.
I don't know what your plans are. How old are you, man?
I'm 36, so we're same generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we're right there.
Yeah. So,
Same generation, and I think we're trying to start a family as well. And I think the beautiful thing that I'm learning and embracing, I consider myself a man now at 36, is that you become selfless opposed to selfish. So I learned how to make decisions, and I'm continuing to learn how to make decisions as a life partner with her, as a family. And I have to say, without that, I wouldn't have been able to navigate through the pandemic by myself, man. You know what I mean? So I think it's stuff like this that makes me stronger, and I'm very excited to do this with my wife to build these new chapters for our lives now. So and just do good, man. So
yeah, that's important, man. It's just leaving a legacy of just being a good man. I think that's a solid legacy within itself, right? Like I would, just to be remembered as a good person and someone who stood for what they believe in and raised their kids with love and with patience, which I need to work on. So it's saying that I was like, shit, I need to work on. I'm all like preaching, raising your kids with love and patience. I was like, man, I need to be more patient, so, right? So a little transparency there. Yeah, man. So I call this section Sneakerhead. So what are you wearing in and outside the kitchen, chef?
I know everyone got like everyone got like Chef Burgers and Chef shoes, but I transitioned like a few years back to Air Maxes, bro. Mm-hmm. Air Maxes are so goddamn comfortable. Even though they're not non-slip, get the non-slip mats for your kitchen. But I really love Air Maxes, specifically the 95s, man. Like,
you can't beat the bubble, baby.
No, bro. Can't beat the bubble, bro. Just can't, man. Yeah. But outside of that, I'm a big California dude, so I like the Chuckers, the Chucks, and Cortezes. They go with everything. I'm simple. I like to all black, white t-shirt, jeans, and a hoodie when it's cold. So I keep it real simple, man. Like, I don't get too complicated. I don't get all Yeezy'd out or whatever.
Yeah. Yeezy has rubbed me the wrong way over years, so I fell off on him after he graduated. You know what I mean? The album, I don't really rock with him like that too much. So, and they're just really expensive. The most, J's is the most I can go. Everything else above the price of J's is I'm good.
Which generation of J's are your favorite?
The Force. I just love the Fours, the way they look, the way they feel. They're like little mini boots, you know what I mean? Like little, they're kind of hardy, you know what I mean? So I like them. They're comfortable. But I got the is it 13s? I don't know recently, but I don't get to wear sneakers that often. Just being a dad and being in the kitchen,
especially during the pandemic, right? We ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's even more amplified that not doing it, wearing anything. I got flip flops on right now. So.
Oh, good. It's family, bro.
So Oakland in the house. Do you
Yes, sir.
partake in sports?
And back in high school, I used to play basketball, football, and then I blew out my knees, and that was my nail in the coffin for sports and my transition into the kitchen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, a big basketball fan.
What sports you rocking with? What team? Who's your team?
For NBA, I'm a Warriors fan. Bro.
Okay,
yeah, I'm a Warriors. Even when they lost Clay, I think Clay's coming back next season, so I'm anticipating big things.
Yes.
Curry just beat Chamberlain's record. You see that?
Just past Wilt, man. I'm super stoked.
Right.
So I grew up a Sonics fan.
And you talking about Peyton and Kemp? You talking about that generation?
Gary Payton, Detlef Schrempf, Kemp, you know.
Oh my God. Shrimp was a
Shrimp.
Yeah.
You know, the flat, he had the flat top. Right.
Yeah. He was the Sonics version of Chris Mullin. So
yeah, exactly. And so my team obviously no longer exists. So when my daughter started playing basketball, I got heavily back into it. And I'm like,
nice.
You know, I put a poll out there and asked questions, you know, who should I rock with? Because I kind of fell off of sports because I started cooking and just nothing else mattered. Right. So nothing else mattered but food. And then when I got a family and I'm able to take a step back and breather, I'm like, all right, let me pick a squad. I'm looking around and, you know, I am a certified legit bandwagon, but have a great reason because I'm a Warriors fan, man. So like, this is Dub Nation. However, the closest team to me is the Lakers, man. And I love Kobe and like,
I love Kobe. Can't
Kobe.
hate on Kobe. Can't hate on Kobe.
But I've never could find myself to be a Lakers fan. It just never felt right, you know? Rockets, I guess we're in San Diego back in the back, you know? And they went to Houston, but like, growing up, just gravitating towards the glove, you know what I mean? GP. And then, you know,
he's from Oakland too.
Yep. And then KD was, you know, Sonics. He found himself on the Warriors. Curry being, you know, a great role model. It just made so much sense for me to be a Warriors fan. So I admit it. I'm a bandwagon, man. Can I be called a bandwagon? Is that real? Or because I didn't just hop on them because they winning, you know. I want to know. You're the first person from Oakland who I've asked this question. Like, be real with me.
I don't care for bandwagon bullshit. We need the numbers, bro. That's all that matters to me. You know what I mean?
The numbers.
It's like the presidency now. I need your fucking vote. Fuck everything else.
Right? If the numbers are bringing in the money, Joe Lacob's getting the money, he can bring in better players, right? I mean, it's all a cycle. So you think.
Absolutely. We need a big man, bro.
Especially Wiseman going out. That's tough, man. That's tough. I was wondering who they're going to pick up on a 10-day contract.
You know, like in the beginning, I thought Oubre was going to be. Oubre is doing pretty solid, but I thought he was going to be a lot better than he is this year, though. Respect, because he had really big shoes to fill. You know, he's good. Yeah. Like, just not there yet. You know, it just takes time.
Yeah, for sure. The shooting got better. He's starting to knock down the threes. Defense is great. And we'll see.
Draymond's leading in assists now because he ain't shooting anymore, which is crazy. Right?
So
he's this man of the year right now.
He had a great game, but he needs to string together some great games. Like, we can't go on a run if Draymond isn't Draymond. Like, Steph really can't be Steph, and it's hard enough to not have Clay out there, you know, which really opens up the floor for Steph, you know, and he's being double and triple teamed like every time, man. Like, every game. How is he not MVP? I know that we're a 10 seed, but like, this dude is getting 52 to 53 points being double triple teamed. You know what I mean? Like, he's he's right up there in the numbers, point scoring, being double team and triple team. That's unheard of.
I mean, he single-handedly changed the entire NBA's playbook for defending the perimeter. Like that it will never ever go back because of Steph. And I think he's got Dame Lillard shooting out super far now, but Steph started it.
Yeah. I love seeing the comments. I mean, I love Lillard, and I understand, like, he's from Oakland, so it's got to be rough when he plays against the Warriors, man. He probably grew up a Warriors fan, right? But yeah, they call him Steph's son.
Steph's son.
Steph's son in the comments. I'm like, dang, that's filth. I wouldn't want to be called anyone's son as a grown man, you know what I mean? But Dame does the right thing, and he shows respect, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's doing okay. He's got a fat Adidas contract. He's doing well. He's getting paid. You know, for me, if you told me if somebody's going to call me that and I got paid like that, I'd be like, oh, I'll budget it. I'll budget myself for it.
Exactly. Right. Like he doing Hulu commercials. Like he ain't hurting at all. Like my guy is
he's not hurting.
Like I wouldn't mind either. Like I get called all kind of things on social media because of what I do. And I'm like, I'm with my fan, you know. I'm not working 6-7 days a week, 12-14 hour days anymore. Like I'm okay with it. You can talk trash, you know. That's something going on in here with you anyways. You know,
absolutely. It's insecurity, bro. Yeah, I feel you on that, bro. That's why I pivoted out from restaurants too, man. I just couldn't do it anymore. And it's a mental health thing. I wanted to have a family. You know, I didn't want to end up like our chefs that we worked for, respectfully. You know, like that's some serious not just emotional abuse, but substance abuse for yourself too, to maintain that sort of lifestyle. And going into like your 40s, 50s, that's not sustainable, bro. Like, you know, 14-hour days, 6-7 days a week, like it's just not. And for what, right? For an award, accolade. I'm cool. You keep that shit. I'm cool, man.
I mean, I'll take it if they want to give it to me, but you can keep it. Yeah, no, I feel you. It's not is the whole juice worth the squeeze thing, you know, like waking up with your hands like this and having trigger finger and like, you know, like my wrists are shot already from heavy saute pans with 3 orders of pappardelle in it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just 8-burner bandit for 5 hours straight. You know, takes a hard toll on the body and mentally and in the night. You know, you just shut down.
You know, and you know, every chef I know that I work for that is older, like in the 50-60 range, every single one of them had gout. Because, you know, like you gotta be seasoning hella shit and tasting shit when you don't want to. So your salt consumption is like through the roof every day, bro. Every day, you know. So that's a guaranteed recipe for gout, like for real, you know.
Yeah. So man,
gout's not one to play with, man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've actually had some other cooks on the line who had it and experienced it, and I know a few chefs have mentioned they have it. And it's definitely not
bad, bro.
So I got a few more questions. Wrap this up here. So real quick, name a time where you kind of just lost your lid, boiled over in the kitchen.
I think as a young chef, I think we all do. You know, and you know, I think as a young chef. When I say young chef, it's like a young executive chef or a young chef de cuisine. You learn by example. Things are fueled by other people in the kitchen, or I mean, things are fueled by what you see on TV, what you read, chefs you admire. Marco Pierre White being one of them. So just being super honest, you know, as a young chef, I lost and blown my lid, absolutely. And I think it takes a lot for not just a chef, but for a person to reflect. I think the thing that has poisoned me in my life are things like masculinity, things like inheriting anger from other chefs that I work for, because they say that's the way, you know, that they teach you that's how you manage a staff. But since then, it was, and I'm still working very, I'm continually auditing myself every day, every month, every year, to see how people impact me and how I impact other people. And just having that sort of conversation, I learned about eliminating masculinity, learning my mental health boundaries and my capacity, and then also learning about the people around you. Can I think what I learned, and I'm gonna refrain from mentioning any institutions, but what my chefs taught me is like if you don't do it, you don't do it well. It's either you're stupid or you're lazy. And what I've learned is that we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different scars. We all come from different experiences. And then I think a good chef is a good leader who's coherent to understanding all of that.
Mm.
And I've in my early and younger career, I've run into a straight wall with other cooks and other chefs, both in my management and both as a colleague, as a cook next to me, who unknowingly had mental health issues that they were struggling with. And I've witnessed them unfold that both inside and outside the kitchen. Unfortunately, um, um, as a first person, in a first person sort of perspective. And in those moments, it completely changed my life on how I perceive the treatment, the sort of not the treatment, absolutely the treatment and the culture that poisoned for me my chef experience and how I interact with other people. I feel very blessed to be able to identify that, but I don't think anything's perfect. I think addition to what I inherited, there's this sort of broken systematic system for myself and what I see with the French Brigade, where it creates a hierarchy. You know, no matter what the uppers say, the cooks, you know, they either oblige or get the hell out. You know. Yeah. So I think that's another reason why I removed myself from the restaurant space, because in the spaces that I existed in, the spaces I cooked in, I think the people around me were miserable. I was miserable. And from a mental health standpoint, it wasn't healthy for me. So
it's good.
I think it's a hard question, sort of complicated answer. I hope that explains it.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree, you know, with 100% with your approach and your, you know, your mind state on that, chef. I think that, you know, I've made the same mistakes as a young chef, and thinking that was the way to go about it, and looking back in retrospect, just seeing how completely wrong and I was, you know, and in the moment I thought like everyone was against me. It was probably some issues I was dealing with as well, you know, and that I was projecting onto everyone else. Right. Yeah. So I agree with you. And I think, you know, I'm glad things are changing, and I think that they will continue to and need to. So, yeah.
And let me say this for the record too, for chefs out there that said they'd never lost their cool. That's fucking bullshit, you know. Fucking bullshit. Yes. And I tell you this, you can't fix anything unless you are vulnerable and you acknowledge. And if you don't acknowledge it, you're basically lying, you know. So I think I appreciate your honesty, chef. You know, and I wanted to come to this conversation with open honesty, because like I just want people to know no one's perfect, but there is a way to get better, you know, period, for everyone. So
it's good. So, yeah. What is one thing that you want everyone to know about you, chef?
For everyone who, I think if I have one thing that's pressing on my mind, you know, my name is 2, like the number. Spelled TU. That's all I really care about. Anything else? You like me, you don't like me, I give a fuck. Like, it's all good. If you know, if you're a fan, I appreciate you. You know, I'm gonna go super hard for you. You know what I mean? Just for your support. You know, if you don't like me, you know, I'm taking applications for haters. I need it, man. You know,
they help the algorithm for real.
They help the algorithm for
real. My haters have dropped off. I'm like, where'd y'all go? Am I not doing it good enough? Word, man, where can we find you?
Check me out on social media. All the social media handles: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Chef2DavidFu, or check me out on my website at chef2.com. That's cheftu.com. So I got a lot of projects coming up, working on some shows, and I got a few commercials coming out. So make sure you check me out. I'm trying to represent and reclaim the narrative. Hey.
Hey, I like that. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Peace.